You're listening to Taste for Truth Weight Loss Encouragement. I'm your host, Barb Raveling. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm also excited that we're less than 1 month out from my new book, Say Goodbye to Emotional Eating, being published. And I'm really excited about this book because I think it's a book that will help you develop a renewing habit if you haven't been able to do it before. And, we need to renew our mind consistently if we want to break free from the control of food. And this book will make it easy for you to renew your mind because there's 100 exercises in the book. You can write your answers in the book. So I'm actually excited to use this resource for myself, and I think it will be helpful for you guys as well. I also wanted to remind you that we do have some pre-order bonuses. You can access those at saygoodbyetoemotionaleating.com if you pre-order the book on or before October 31st. And there's some really fun bonuses. 3 of them cover the 3 most common problems that people talk to me about with breaking free from the control of food. One is nighttime eating. I'll have a 20-minute video where you can figure out why you eat at night. I'll give 5 different reasons people eat over at night, and then 5 strategies depending on why you overeat at night, and then 5 lies and truths, so ways to renew your mind about it. So I think that'll be really helpful if you struggle with evening eating. It can also be applied to afternoon eating. And then we'll also have 2 group coaching sessions, which I'm really excited about. I'll meet with all of you in Zoom. One of them will deal with the problem, how to stop I'll start tomorrow eating. And then the other one will be how to make yourself develop a renewing habit when you've never been able to do that before. So I'll have questions for you guys to reflect on, and we'll have some breakout rooms. I think those will be really fun classes. And then I'll also have a drawing for one-on-one coaching, 4 sessions with me. We can do ministry coaching, weight loss coaching, life coaching, whatever you want to coach on, basically. So I'm excited about that too, because I love to coach, and I'll look forward to that one-on-one time with whoever wins that one. But let's get to today's episode. And this is an episode that I am guessing every single one of you has struggled with at some time or another. I know I have. So if at any time in your life you've lost your weight, you know what the next problem is, right? Usually we gain that weight back because, at least for me, the whole time I was losing weight back in the days when my weight went up and down, I'd be thinking, I cannot wait to get done with this dumb old diet so I can go back to eating whatever I want. And because I went back to eating whatever I wanted, I always gained my weight back. So today I want to talk about 8 tips to help you maintain your weight loss. So if you lose your weight, you can keep it off. And I have kept my weight off now since 2007 or 2008. So a lot of years. I don't do that up and down cycle anymore. And I've used these tips to help me keep it off. Okay, tip number 1. See yourself as only halfway there. Okay, so if you think about mountain climbers, I like reading books about mountain climbers. Well, a lot of mountain climbers, for some of those big peaks, they die on the way down. So they make it to the top. They put all their effort into making it to the top, but they don't save enough energy for the way down, or maybe they're careless. But for whatever reason, they're very likely to lose their lives and die on the way down. And we need to be careful. So when we lose our weight, we want to think of ourselves as only halfway there, halfway to our goal, because our goal isn't just to lose the weight, it's to maintain the weight. So if we're thinking of our goal as a number on the scale, we start letting our guard down when we get to that number on the scale. Part of that is just a mindset. You have to think, okay, I still have more work to go. There's more renewing work, more other work, and we'll talk about that work in the rest of these tips. Okay, tip number 2 is to recognize that you'll still need to make sacrifices to maintain your weight. And this just happened to my husband. He lost weight, and he was surprised that he didn't get to eat that much more to maintain his weight. So he lost his weight on Weight Watchers, and he was surprised that they didn't really give him that many more points. And that is the truth, that yes, we do a lot of suffering to lose weight. We eat far less, but in order to maintain the weight, you can't add that much in. Of course, you add enough in that actually it seems far more livable, but we still, just to maintain our weight, we don't need that much. Sadly, if you're really young or if you have a high metabolism, it might be different. But if you're older, it's surprising how much food our body needs, not as much as we want it to need. So we'll have to sacrifice to still keep eating less than we want. And we'll also still have to sacrifice on holidays, on meals out, on vacations. So if we go back to eating whatever we want on vacations, holidays, eating out, we're going to gain our weight back. So that's why it's so important to develop healthy habits while we're losing weight and continue on those healthy habits. And a lot of that too is just mindset, not thinking, oh, I get to eat whatever I want and going back to that. Okay, the third one, tip number 3, is to switch to lifelong boundaries. And this is something I never did back in the old days. I just go on a diet. And then when I lost my weight, I would go back to eating what I wanted when I wanted. It was, I don't even know when I realized, oh no, you need boundaries all your life. But maybe it was, well, it's probably when I was writing Freedom from Emotional Eating. That's when I realized it. So the common lifelong boundaries, the 2 common ones, I actually talk about this in my new book, Say Goodbye to Emotional Eating, are 3 meals a day and, 1 or 2 snacks, whatever you want, or just 3 meals a day, and intuitive eating or hunger, fullness eating. Those are probably the 2 most common. And I mentioned one other one in the book, but I actually have COVID brain and I can't remember what it is. Oh, I know. It's intermittent fasting. I'm experiencing some brain fog since I had COVID a little over a month ago. But intermittent fasting sometimes would be more of a long-term, lifelong boundary. Sometimes it's a little more diety. People do that different ways. So that's another possibility. You could also use whatever, if you used a diet to lose your weight, you could switch to the maintenance program from that diet. But whatever it is, you'll need to switch to lifelong boundaries. So we have to limit our eating in some way. So by how much, how often, some types of boundary systems will say what kinds of foods you eat, but whatever it is, it has to be boundaries that if you follow them will help you keep your weight off. Now, if you do decide to switch to a different set of boundaries, like lifelong boundaries, then you'll have to actually learn that boundary system. So just like you would learn any type of system you're going to use to lose weight, you're going to have to learn this new boundary system. So if I were to eat 3 meals and 1 snack a day, well, I could eat 3 huge meals and 1 huge snack and I'd gain my weight back, right? So you kind of have to play with that to see how much you can eat with that type of boundary system to not gain your weight back. So again, it's going back to see yourself as only halfway there because you'll have to learn a whole new boundary system. Unless you use something like intuitive eating to lose your weight, you've already learned that boundary system and then you can just keep going with it. You won't have to switch to lifelong boundaries because you used your lifelong boundaries to lose your weight. But some people, they just kind of like those boundaries, like Weight Watchers or whatever, and they just keep using them. It's rare. Most people don't want to do that all their lives, but some people do, and it's okay if you like that. Number 4, be just as rigid with lifelong boundaries as you are with weight loss boundaries. And, most people see rigid as a bad thing. We want to be that fun person, loose and carefree, not worrying about our weight. And I have a lot of people write to me and say, I just want to be normal. Okay, well, here's the truth. Alcoholics can't be carefree with alcohol, and we can't be carefree with food. Why not? Because alcoholics aren't normal with alcohol. They love alcohol too much. And if they drink alcohol, they're just going to struggle with it. They're going to struggle with drinking too much and having it mess up their lives. And it's the same with us. When we eat too much, because we are the type of people who, maybe eat for emotional reasons, aren't opposed to eating lots of quantity of food, that is going to affect us. So would most people say it's bad for the alcoholic to be rigid? Most people wouldn't, right? And it's not bad for us to be rigid because being rigid and following our boundaries, that actually gives us freedom. Self-control is freeing. It's not something that's bad for us. It's a fruit of the spirit, right? So we need to keep being strict with our boundaries even after we lose our weight. And I guess I would ask you this question. What happens when you eat 1 bite outside of your boundaries? Can you keep doing that day after day after day without going back to your old life of eating what you want when you want and all the consequences of that lifestyle? I know I can't. If I start being fuzzy with my boundaries, it's just going to make me crave food and want to eat all the time, or it will just make me careless with food. And so I'll eat all the time with thinking and I'll start gaining my weight back. So I would say be as rigid with lifelong boundaries as you are with your weight loss boundaries. Okay, number 5, keep renewing your mind for a while when you feel like breaking your boundaries. Okay, a lot of times people have to renew their minds just a lot in the very beginning to get themselves to follow their boundaries. And I think I've told you guys before, I had to renew my mind hundreds of times. Okay, but then you get to a point where you're just following your boundaries and you don't have to renew. They just kind of come naturally. But a lot of times when we lose our weight, we'll have to start renewing again because we believe new lies once we lose our weight. Here's one of the lies we believe. I don't need to follow my boundaries anymore because I'm at my goal weight. Here's the truth. If I don't follow my boundaries, I won't be at my goal weight for long, right? Another lie we might believe is it's okay to break my boundaries because I'm over this now. And the truth I would write for that is, although I've made huge progress, I am still prone to eating too much. I'm still prone to emotional eating. I need to be super careful, just like a drug addict, so I don't go back to my old ways. And the third lie we often believe once we reach our goal weight is it's not a big deal if I eat this. And the truth is, it's not a big deal if I want to go back to my old life and my old body size. But since I don't want to go back to that old life, it is a big deal. I will be far happier if I continue to follow my boundaries. Tip number 6, be careful about adding in your favorite foods if you have addictive tendencies. Okay, so let's say you gave up sugar to lose your weight and you're really kind of addicted with sugar. And then once you lose your weight, you think, oh, I can eat sugar again. Well, think twice about that, because if you do, how much of a struggle will it be? How much craving will it involve? Will it make you gain your weight back? Especially if you lost 100 pounds or 200 pounds. I feel like it's even more dangerous because it'd be so easy to gain all that back again. If you only lost 20 pounds, it'll still be hard. At least for me, a lot of the time since I've lost my weight, I've had to go back to giving up sugar because I found myself eating too much of it, craving it, and it wasn't worth the craving, wasn't worth the weight gain. So think twice about that. If you do, make sure you renew your mind whenever you eat too much of it and maybe limit it to how much you can eat without giving into the craving again. So let's say you might be able to eat 1 sweet a week without going back to craving. So limit it to 1 sweet a week. Renew your mind if you have more than that. And I would also add in healthy habits. Like, this is another thing my husband did that surprised me. One of the things he did that, made him gain all that weight was he had way too much syrup and sugar and butter on everything. And so we were in the store the other day and I said, oh, we should get some pancake mix because he loves buttermilk pancakes. Well, he said, I hate to get that again because I'm afraid I'll gain my weight back. And he didn't want to go back to that because he knew that he would put maybe a half a stick of butter on a big pile of pancakes and a ton of syrup. So not only did he not want to gain his weight back, but he wanted to be healthy. I just can't believe how much healthier he is now. He eats really healthy foods for breakfast, oatmeal and fruit, or, different things like that. So think about that. Be careful about adding in your favorite foods. Tip number 7 is use the scale as a helpful tool if it works for you. Okay, I have actually done that. I probably weigh myself a couple times a week. And if I'm up more than 3 pounds for a consistent amount of time, and that's 3 pounds above a weight range. I don't think of my weight as one number. I think of it as a 3-pound weight range. Well, if I'm up above the top number in that weight range for a month, then I'll count points if I have to. I'll at least watch what I eat. If I have to, I'll count points because I would far rather lose 2 to 3 pounds than 20 pounds. But if you're the person who the scale sends over the edge, maybe you could use a pair of pants, a pair of non-stretchy pants to try on each week or two. Do what is right for you. What works for me might not work for you, but that is what helped me, is to just keep weighing myself once in a while just to make sure I wasn't going over. And then the last tip is to know that you may need to go back to renewing if you have a new trial in your life and you're an emotional eater. So I remember one woman, she lost a lot of weight. And as soon as she lost her weight, in the beginning, the trial was losing her weight, but then she started having, some of her kids started having struggles, and that made her want to eat. And so it was a real struggle because she had that new trial in her life. And I experienced that too, because after I lost my weight, that's when I started writing. And I didn't realize I was a procrastination eater. So I was worried when I published Freedom from Emotional Eating that I would gain all my weight back, because every time I went to write the book about breaking free from emotional eating, I felt like eating. I felt like emotional eating. So when you have a new trial in your life, and you're going to have new trials in your life, sadly, and you feel like emotional eating, go back and renew your mind again. In fact, renewing the mind is definitely not all about losing weight. When I first started renewing my mind, it was for relationship issues. It wasn't for weight. So that's just something we can do to help us grow. So I would try and keep that habit. Okay, I hope all these tips help. And I'm sorry, I might seem a little disjointed today. And it really is because I'm still not thinking quite clearly after COVID. So you guys could pray for me. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'm taping it in mid-August, and it's not going to come out, I think, till October. Hopefully I'll be back to thinking clearly by then. But wanted to get this ready because I have a lot of work to get done before the book launch. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Remember to check out that renewing challenge on YouTube if you haven't seen that yet. And you could do some of those little things. I think you'll be able to find them down in the shorts on my YouTube channel. Okay, have a great day. Follow God, follow your boundaries, and I will talk to you next time.